networks. Okay, so before that, like all people knows IP address and classes, IP address classes, as well as and what is a private IP address, what is a public IP address, what is a static, what is a dynamic. So everyone knows, or can I explain these all high level,
Hmm.
because of these things is a very important.
I know, Kiran. I know.
Okay, so remaining people.
Can you explain, Kiran?
Okay, sure, definitely. So coming to nowadays we have two types of IP address, guys. One is a IP version 4 and IP version 6. There are two types of IP address ranges is available, but still we are using the IP version 4 only. We are not using the IP version 6. Very rarely we can see, and especially ISP vendors and any other organization might be will use it, but it's a majorly we can see IP version 4 only. Everyone use it. Okay, by normally is a IP version 4 in all organization. We can see the IP version 4. What is this IP version 4 means? So suppose generally you heard, or you can see most of the time some like IP address 10.0.10.30, like that some IP address you can see. So here this is a dot is a kind of octet, is a 1 octet, 2 octet, and 3 octet. Like it's a fourth one. So 4 octets totally it's a divided. So that 4 octets, each octet is a 8-bit value. Each bit, each octet is a 8-bit value. Totally how many bits? 4 octets, 4 into 8, 32-bit. That's the reason we can call the IP version 4 is a 32-bit. Okay, IP version 4 is a 32-bit. 32-bit means each octet value is a 8-bit. 8-bit value, how much if it is a calculated, we'll get the 255. How to calculate it this one, how we got the 255 means, so here 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32 and 64 and 128. If you added these all numbers, that is a we'll get the 255. Even you can see, I can show you. So calci open and check it if you want. 1 plus 2 plus 4 plus 8 plus 16 plus 32 plus 64 plus 128. How much value? 255. So totally each octet value totally 255. That's the reason it's a 255 dot 255 dot, like 255 dot 255 dot ending with this is a 1. That means starting is a 0.0.0. It will start from ending with 255, 255, 255 and 255. So totally this is a range of IP version 4. It starts from 0 and ending with the 255, 255, 255, 255. This is a divide into 5 classes. 5 classes they divided. This is a divide into 5 classes, guys. What are the 5 classes? This is a divide into 5 classes. So each class, it's a class A, class B, class C, D, and E. So totally 5 classes. Class A start from 0. 0, it's a negligible, won't take it anytime. That's the reason we can take from 1 to 127 class A. And class B 198 to 192 128 to 191. 191 class B, and class C 192 to 223. It will ending with the 223, and 223 to 2 something 244 something like that, 244 to 240 255. Like class D and class E we won't use it, guys. Generally we won't use it. Why? Because of it's a class D, it's a multicast. Class E is a research and military purpose, they will use it. Okay, that's the reason class D and class E we won't use it. and up to class A to class C, we are going to use it. So it's a divide into this totally IP version 4 32-bit. Each octet is a 255 value. Totally how much we are getting? 255.255.255. So start from 0 to 0.0.0 to 255, 255, 255. These are totally in between range, divide into 5 classes. The class A, class B, class C, class D, and class E. So class A, class B, class C is a values. This is a range. Class A class A is a 1 to 127. Class B is a 128 to 191. Class C equal to 192 to 223, guys. Majorly, everyone should aware of this range. This range, it's a very important. Class A, class B, class C. Okay, coming to in these classes, again, it's a class A means generally general wise, subnetting wise, more effectively using the IP address ranges. That's the reason they bring up one concept called subnetting. Bring up the concept called subnetting. In this subnetting, generally class A means class A, we are going to use the /8. Generally, people will like say 10.0.0.0/8. That means 255 dot 0.0.0. That means what happened here, /8 represent into one octet value 255, remaining octet value 0.0. So what is the mean? In this 255, it's a reserved for network. Reserved for network. That means always same in this range of network. Whenever you are using this network range 10.0.0.0/8 range, if you are using, and always remains same, this is a value is the same, and this value is a for host purpose. Host means what we are associating this network devices, that network devices or host devices like servers, anything, and we'll get the IP address from this range. This from this 3 octets, from that we'll get it. So totally what happened? It's a, if you are going with the use the 10.0.0.8/8, if you are using, that means it's a subnet. It's a 255.0.0.0. And in this network portion is a 8-bit value is a reserved always, and it won't change, it remains. Okay, remaining 3 octets for host portion. So host portion means we can use it for allocate the IP address to like network devices or servers and everything. We can going to use it. Understood, everyone? If it is a class B /16 by default, if it is a class C /24, that means class B means 255 dot 255 dot 0.0. 16 means each octet is a 8 value. So that means 2 octet is a 16 value. So remaining 2 octets for host portion. If it is a class C, 255 dot 255 dot 255 dot 0. That means 3 octets is reserved for networking portion. 1 octet is a for host portion. So this is a way represent into the mask bit. This is a subnet mask bit. Subnet mask bit, guys. So totally here in this way represented. Generally, this is a represent wise. We'll talk about this one. Okay, generally subnetting, normal subnetting. But there is a one more concept called CIDR notation, classless inter-domain routing. Normally, as per classes, we should use the class A means /8, class B means /16, class C means /24, like that. But whenever we go to the classless inter-domain routing and more effective wise utilizing the IP address ranges, more effective wise using the IP address ranges. Why? Because of class 24 means /24 means 1 octet is a reserved 3 octets for network, 1 octet for host. So 1 octet value how much? 255. So 255 IP address only I can use it in class C generally. But I want more IP address means. So that's the reason CIDR notation came into the picture. This is a one type of subnetting, classless inter-domain routing. In this scenario, class C, we can go with the /8. Class C, we can go with the /16 or 17, 9 or 10, 11 like that also you can go. So that means more effective wise, we can use the more IP address in this classes also. Class B or class C also, we can utilize it. That's the reason classless interdomain, it's a nowadays all companies use it. And even in the Azure platform also, Microsoft Azure platform support the classless inter-domain routing. In Azure network, it support the classless inter-domain routing. Any question up to now?
No, Kiran.
Everyone clear?
Fine, Kiran.
So remaining people, everyone, please, if you have any question, let me know. I want interaction. Just is like speaking into virtually, it's getting bore. I can't get the uh, encouragement. I can't able to speak. Keep on like that. Okay, that is about class A, class B, class C, and classless interdomain routing and subnetting. Okay, what I mentioned one more point here. It's a routing wise /8/16. How many IP address we can utilize it in this scenario? So if you want more, like look into that one, how many IP address we can get it. These all those things. There is a over the internet subnetting calculator, IP version 4 subnet calculator. If you open, this is a subnet calculator. Click on that one and you can give the your range. Suppose I want is a 10.0.0 and I want to understand this is a 1/27 only. I want to use it. /27 means how many IP address I will get it. Here you can see totally usable IP address is a 30 and total IP address I will get the 32. But under 32, I can use the only 30 IP address. It's saying that. So why is a saying like that? Is a 32 is a lost IP address, that is a multicast purpose. That is a multicast purpose. And starting IP address 0 is a network range, define it. And first IP address is a default gateway. Generally, first IP address is a default gateway purpose. We'll use it. Default gateway means in incoming traffic and outgoing traffic, who will take it the responsibility? It's a first IP address. Generally, first IP address is a default gateway. Okay, that is a way. It's a generally it's available. Okay, so based on how many IP address are we required, accordingly we can choose it so that we can more effective wise instead of like simply I can like my requirement is a 120 IP address I required. So in this scenario, 120 IP address. So go with the 25. How many IP address I will get it? Let's see. I can get the 127. Okay, it's a suitable for me. It's a suitable for me. In case of if I go with the /24, what will happen? I will get the 255 IP address, but I require the 120 IP address only. But remaining IP address, we are not going to utilize it. That means we are wasting the IP address. We are going to waste the IP address. That's the reason instead of wasting the IP address, properly utilizing purpose, we'll do this subnetting, guys. We'll do this subnetting. Depends on the requirement. We'll perform the this subnetting. Understood, everyone?
Yes, Kiran.
Yeah, Kiran.
Any more questions? Any doubts? It's a very, very important, guys. Especially this is a basics. Actually, everyone needs to learn these basics when you are going to work on that. Okay, this basics is a very important. Without these basics, it's not a easy task to understand the requirement and fulfill the requirement. Okay. Okay, so coming to here, one more point. There is a difference between the private IP address range and public IP address range. Before going to that range of IP address, and first of all, what is the meaning of private IP address? What is the meaning of public IP address? Any idea?
Private address is something only specific to that server. It won't be accessible to external any other.
Hmm, somewhat okay, but it's a meaningful. I didn't get it totally.
Mhm.
So anyone? Any other people can try? It is for internet. Sorry, your voice is a very low. I can't able to hear somebody trying to speaking. Okay, let's tell me. Uh, so here, suppose this is a my organization. In this organization, different routers and switches connecting my devices with the cables and everything. I will do it. These all those things needs to be communication purpose. We require the IP address. That IP address, if I'm going to use the which IP address range, I should use it. Which IP address range I should use it. So requirement is a within the my organization only needs to be communicated. That's the reason we want to use it. So that is the reason we need to use the private IP address. We should use the private IP address within the organization. Within my network only needs to be communicated. So that purpose we can go with the private IP address range. Understood? Public IP address means over the internet. Over the internet means outside world, different companies, different entities, and everything needs to be communicated. So that is a called over the internet publicly needs to be communicated means we require the public IP address. We require the public IP address. So what is the range of private IP address range? What is the range of public IP address range? Who defined it actually? This is a defined by INA. IANA. INA is a Internet Assigned Number Authority. This is a one type of organization. It's a responsibility take the properly use the IP addresses. Especially these all IP address ranges and standards are defined by INA, Internet Assigned Other Numbers Authority. This is a one type of organization, and which IP address for public purpose, which IP address is a private purpose, and what is the subnetting and the CIDR. Everything is a they define it as per their standards. We are following worldwide wise. This is the organization take the responsibility to follow the standards regarding IP address. Each and every IT related some standards is available. That standard is the some company take the responsibility. Same like that Internet Assigned Number Authority organization take the responsibility, follow the standards everyone. So that is a way these all things came like subnetting and CIDR notation, and these are the private IP address range. These are the public IP address range like that. It's a define it. Okay, coming to here, like private IP address ranges in class A 10 series, totally 10 series. That means 10.0.02, 10.255, 255, 255. This is a range. It's a you can use it within the organization. Within your organization, you can use it this range in class A. Same like class B 172.16.0.02, 172.31.255.255. This is a range allocated for using the within the organization that private IP address range. And class C 192.168.0.0 to 192.168.255.255. This is a class C for private IP address range. Class C, private IP address range. These are the things, guys. Each class, class A, class B, class C, each class, they define the some IP address range. Those IP address range within the organization, we should use it. Within organization, we should use it. And remaining all IP address is a public IP address. Remaining all IP address 1 to 9 and 11 to 126. These all ranges in class C. And here 128 to 171 and as well as 172.32.2 and remaining 192 or 191 up to it's a utilized in the class B. Class C means 193 onwards 223 up to this is a one totally we can utilize the class C is a public IP address range. Okay, so that's the reason if you see that is a public IP address or private IP address easily we can identify it. We can easily identify, guys. using this manner. If you know, easily you can identify that is a public IP address or private IP address. Easily you can identify it. Okay, these are the difference, guys. If you want over the internet, that means you require the public IP address. So that's the reason. If you say if you require the internet, ISP vendors, internet service providers, they purchase it. First of all, they purchase the public IP address. It's not a free. It's a they need to purchase the some amount they need to pay to the INA, Internet Authority number authority assigned number organization. They need to pay some amount. Okay, and accordingly they will get the some allocation of the IP address. It's a region wise some ranges they define it accordingly. That region people will going to use it. Okay, so coming to these ISP vendors, they are going to utilize it very effective way using the CIDR notation, classless inter-domain routing wise. Effectively, everyone using their IP address ranges in their internet. So whenever you are taking the internet connection, you will get the one public IP address. That is not dedicated, guys. That is a dynamic public IP address only. You will get it. So whenever reboot might be, it will change it, and something it will change it. Keep on, sometimes it will change it. So that means it's not dedicated for us and it's a dynamic IP address. If it is a dedicated static public IP address required, you have to pay more amount. You have to pay more amount. Generally, MNC companies, all companies will pay the static public IP address purpose. Like monthly, they will pay around lakhs of rupees or thousands of rupees they will pay. Like 50,000, 60,000, 1 lakh, 2 lakhs like that they will pay, guys. Depends on the bandwidth as well as public IP address, both the things. Okay, so that's the reason we are paying the amount for bandwidth as well as public IP address. Both the purpose we are paying for internet service providers. Okay, and private IP address, nothing. Freely we can utilize it within the organization, this range of private IP address, and we can freely utilize it within our organization. All devices communication purpose, we can use the private IP address. Got it? Any questions up to now? Hopefully is clear to everyone. Private IP address and public IP address also.
Yeah, Kiran.
So coming to one more topic you need to understand is the static and dynamic. So generally which IP address will use it, guys? Static or dynamic?
Static.
Yes, correct. Generally servers will use the static, but our laptops, desktop, everything will use the dynamic IP address. Why? Because of for servers is a our firewalls and everything will use the static, and dynamic. Why is the laptops we are using? Because of static means it's a keep on stick same IP address to that particular server only. Okay, until unless that server is a decommission, that means totally decommission that server only, that IP address release. Otherwise, until unless we need to change the IP address. Otherwise, it remains always same, that IP address same. Why? Because of that service. Server means providing the services. Something we are hosting the application. That application end users trying to access it. If it is a keep on changing the IP address, end user cannot able to communicate. That's the reason servers or routers, switches, and kind of firewalls, these all those things will assign the public sorry, it's a kind of static IP address only. That is a within the organization private IP address. Over the internet means public IP address. Over the internet means public IP address. So totally will provide the static IP address for servers, firewalls, and everything. Dynamic IP address, generally our laptops, desktops, these all those things will use the dynamic IP address. Because of we are taking the services, our IP address changing, no problem at all. But server and other services, what are the services providing those servers or those relevant services? If it is a keep on changing the IP address, we can't able to communicate properly. That's the reason must and should that is a static IP address, and our laptops and desktops and printers also static IP address only will allocated. If it is a keep on changing, if we can't utilize it properly, network printer, we can't utilize the that network printer. So generally laptops, desktop will use the dynamic IP address, guys. Hopefully this is also clear. What is the difference between static and dynamic?
Yeah, Kiran.
Any more questions? Let me know, guys. It's a very important. This basics is a very important, guys. If you are not able to understand these basics, you can't able to survive in the networking. It's not an easy task in the networking. Okay. So coming to jump into the Microsoft Azure platform virtual network. Why we are calling the virtual network? Generally on premises in your organization data centers means what they will do, different network devices they will use it. Different network devices, generally routers and management switches and so many different types of will use it the generally in organization. These are the all physical devices we need to configure it, and as well as connect to the cables, cat 6 cables or fiber cables, depends on the requirement. The devices supported device will connect to the cables totally normally in on premises like this, but in Azure platform it's not required, guys. No need to configure any physical devices, no need to configure cables and everything. We are not going to do it. Why? Because of Microsoft Azure platform totally this network in SDN. SDN means software defined network. Software defined network. Software wise we are going to use the network. Software defined wise network we are going to use it. That's the reason we are calling the virtual networks. That's the reason we are calling the virtual networks. This virtual network we can create a software by software defined by we are going to create it. This is a my range. Suppose example 10.0.0/16. This is a my network range. Your software defined wise you are defining this is a my network. Like that we can define it. There is no nothing here, guys. On premises technology, on premises terminology, most of the time we won't use it, like VLANs or routers, switches, and these all lub lub. We won't use it, guys. We won't require also. We won't require such things. We must and should aware of what is a class A, class B, class C. What is the IP address range based on subnet mask? How many IP address we can utilize it, and what is a static? What is a dynamic? What is a private? What is a public? These things, if you are well known and enough, that basics is a very important. Basically, that basics is a very important, guys. Okay. So coming to why is a network means we already knows, like different services needs to be communication purpose will use the network. In Azure platform also virtual network for communicating the my Azure resources. All my Azure resources communication purpose we are going to use the virtual network. Okay, so here in Azure platform, there are variety of resources like storage, SQL database, and virtual machine and app services. Like that, so many different variety of services is available. These all services communication purpose will use the this virtual network. And coming to one by one, we'll try to understand. Here, few things we need to understand. This is the suppose software defined wise. I define it. This is a my network range 10.10.0.0/16 if I taken. So this is a my network range. I define it. So one more network I'm going to creating. Suppose example that network is a 192.168.0.0. One more network I created. This network range and this network range, it's a this by default these two networks it won't communicate each other in the Azure platform only. In the same subscription, same region, the two different virtual network I created. By default, these two virtual network it won't communicated. This is a one type of network. This is a one type of network wise I created. So that's the reason by default it won't communicated. Each network is a isolated manner wise it will work. By default, isolated wise it will work this entire network, guys. Entire network isolated wise it will work. But within this virtual network, if you create a small subnet, so that means this network I am divided into effectively I want to use the IP address. Actually, /16 means I can get the 65,534 IP address, usable IP address. I will get it. This 65,534 IP address, I want to utilize it very effective manner wise. I'm going to create a small subnets. That means one subnet range 168.0.0/24. That means in this subnet 255 IP address I want to use it. Like that, this is a my web server purpose. This is a my database purpose, SQL. This is a my so and so management network. This is a so and so application purpose. Like that, different subnets will created within the virtual network. Within the virtual network, different small subnets will created. So by default in this network, all subnets communicate each other. By default, it will communicate each other. By default, it will communicate each other, guys. There is no restriction. There is no restriction at all. And by default, within the network, all subnets, it will communicate each other. But this network, it won't communicate each other by default. By default, it won't communicate each other. Understood? This is one of the major point, guys. Always you need to remember this point. Within the network, all subnets will communicate each other. By default, two networks, it won't communicate each other. It won't communicate each other. This point you need to remember. It is a very important. Okay. And coming to Azure resources communication purpose, we'll use it. We knows and communicating with the on-premises network. So I have Azure platform. Instead of that one, I have on-premises data center. My own data center, that is a on-premises. We can call that is our data center. And this data center needs to be communicated to the my Azure virtual network. My Azure platform resources communication purpose, I create a virtual network. If I'm going to establish the communication on-premises data center to Azure platform, so that what will happen, Azure resources also I can able to access from my on-premises data center to this Azure resources. From Azure resources to my on-premises resources also I can able to communicate it. So yes, that's a possible. We'll going to discuss. There are different methods is available. We'll going to discuss that what are the methods, how we can able to establish the communication. Okay. And coming to communicate to the between Azure resources also same virtual network we are going to use it. Suppose two different virtual network by default it won't communicated. And how it will communicated? I require the communication these two virtual network. Yes, even that is also possible. We can do the one of the different methods are available. One of the method is a very popular. We are going to use it. That is a VNet pairing. This is also we'll going to discuss. We'll try to understand. And next, route the network traffic. The traffic how needs to be flow. We need to define it. We want define that network traffic needs to be flow via like this. Instead of by default it's a routing the traffic, we are going to define it our own routing. So that is a route network traffic. Under that we are going to discuss about route tables and filter network traffic. That means which port number through that needs to be communicated, which application needs to be communicated, which database, or which IP address we need to access, which like website over the internet needs to be communicated. These all those things we can define into the filter network traffic. Under that we are going to understand about different services, networking related, security related. Those things is a network security group, application security group, and Azure firewall. These services we are going to understand under filter network traffic. And connect the virtual networks. Just now we discussed two different virtual network. By default it won't communicate it. Even we are going to establish the communication using the one of the method VNet pairing. Other method also is available site to site VPN wise, VNet to VNet also we can do it. And next, one more point, internet communication. What exactly meaning of internet communication means here? Be careful, listen guys. This is a my network 10.0.0.0/16. I taken example and I taken one subnet 10.0.0.0/24. I created one subnet. I deploy the one virtual machine. This virtual machine I got the private IP address from this range 10.0.0.4. I got it. For this virtual machine I got the one private IP address. By default, generally talking about from this virtual machine can I access the internet from this virtual machine? Suppose from this virtual machine, can I access the internet or not? By default, normally, if it is a discussing, can I access the internet from this virtual machine or not, guys?
We can.
By default, in on-premises also you can able to access from this virtual machine. I'm talking. So that means you are saying that you can means suppose in your home, if you are taken the router or switcher, suppose switch you are taken and two devices, two laptops or desktop is a connected and you will get the internet. These two was your missions, two laptops or two desktops will get the internet. You will get the internet.
Yes, if it is connected to router.
Router is a connected means it's a, you will get it. That is not required to connect the ISP vendor cable.
Oh,
It's not required.
yeah, that's required, obviously.
So this is without that one. How you will get it? You won't get it. Here also what I'm saying. Normally I'm talking about from this virtual machine. Normally, general discussion wise, we won't get the internet in this scenario. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But in Azure platform, if you create a virtual network and subnet and associate this virtual machine and I got the private IP address, still I will get the internet. From this virtual machine, I can get the internet. Normally, we won't get the internet, but in Azure platform, we can get the internet. Why? Because of and the backend. In the backend, already they have internet connection. They have internet connection. They are providing. They are not allocating the any public IP address for this, but their technology called NAT, Network Address Translation, or PAT, Port Address Translation. Any one of the technology using that, they are providing the internet connection. For that, our Azure VMs, all by default, all Azure VMs will get the internet. That means from this VM, I can able to access the internet. Any website I can able to access it. But over the internet, if I'm trying to connect this virtual machine, I can't. Because of this virtual machine don't have the public IP address. Due to that, I can't able to access this virtual machine over the internet. But from this virtual machine, I can able to access the internet. Understood? Why? Because of they are using the NAT or PAT technology. Due to that, I can get the internet access for this virtual machine. For this virtual machine, I'm getting the internet access. So what is the NAT? Network address translation. Generally, what we are using in our home router, Wi-Fi router and everything. So actually this router, it's a connect to the our ISP vendor internet cable. That means this router getting the public IP address. Actually, public IP address getting the this router. But our devices, our laptops or desktops, so tabs, everything is a connect to the this router. So that's the main we are getting the internet. But so if you check it, this laptop or desktop, you get the private IP address only, guys. If you check it in your laptop also, you get the private IP address only. But actually router have that Wi-Fi router have public IP address. How I'm getting the internet? My laptop or desktop or tab? Because of they are also using the network address translation. NAT they are using. Due to that, we are getting the internet. So what happened here, whenever you are trying to access the something like example facebook.com, if you are trying to access it, that request will go to the first router. This router have public IP address. That public IP address, it will take it. Okay, it will hide this private IP address and attach to this public IP address to the data packets. That request, it will attach the public IP address over the internet. It will try to connect to the Facebook servers and getting the response. Again, once is a get the response, this public IP address removed it and private IP address. Previously, what request I got it, that private IP address wise, and again, it's a that private IP address send the request back. So that my laptop is getting the facebook.com, that internet access. Due to that, I'm getting the facebook.com. So totally here natting, it will happen like this. Natting will perform the this is a in this router. Okay, understood? Same like in Azure platform also, it's a virtual machine. We are getting the internet because of they are using the backend is a NAT and PAT technology. Due to that, in all Azure platform, any region, any place, if you deploy the virtual machine, by default will get the internet access from this virtual machine. From this virtual machine. If you over the internet, if you want to connect this virtual machine, that's not possible because of you don't assign the any public IP address for this virtual machine. Due to that, we can't able to access over the internet. We can't able to access over the internet. We can't able to access this virtual machine. Understood, everyone? I hope is clear to everyone.
Yeah, Kiran.
So these are the points very important, guys. So you can see here, this is a totally we are going to understand the things. Here some few limitations you can see here. And in Azure platform per region and per subscription wise, we can create a 1,000 virtual networks we can create it. Under single virtual network, we can create a 3,000 subnets. 3,000 subnets. And how many one vnet to another vnet we are going to communicate, that is a called vnet pairing. Single virtual network you can pair the 500 virtual networks. Single virtual network you can do the pairing, 500 virtual network pairing we can able to do it. Okay, so like that, these are the limitations, guys. When you are working on the large organization, these limitations very important. If it's a small organization, these many virtual network, these many things we won't do it. If it is a large MNC companies that customer have large networks and everything, definitely this limitation is a very useful. Okay. So this is about totally virtual network high level and IP addressing and NAT and classes and subnetting, CIDR and everything we discussed. Static, public and static, dynamic and private IP address and public IP address, everything we discuss. So already mentioned private IP address and public IP address and static and dynamic. Already I mentioned it's a software defined network wise we are using in Azure platform. That's the reason we are calling the virtual network. And it support the in Azure platform, it support the IP version 4 as well as IP version 6. And it support the layer 3. That means TCP and UDP protocol. And it's like all the protocols wise, majorly TCP UDP protocol, it's supported. Transmission control protocol, user datagram protocol. This is the meaning of. And virtual network adjust, that means if you create a one virtual network, that virtual network in which subscription and which region you created, on that region only this virtual network, on that subscription only it's available. Okay, it's not available globally this virtual network, on that particular region only that virtual network you are using. Okay, that's the reason within specific subscription within the specific region, it can't span subscription nor regions. That is the statement here. Understood? So up to this is a one today, guys. Tomorrow we'll going to yes, this is a point also we already discussed. As per standard, this is a one of the standard RFC 1918 INA standard, and as per that in Azure platform we are going to use the this private IP address ranges. 10 series, 172, 192 already we discussed. This is the private IP address ranges. We are going to use the this network ranges only. This IP address range only we are going to use it, guys, in Azure platform also. Okay, generally by default these are the IP address, we won't use it any place. In Azure platform, especially, we won't use it any place, this IP address range. Why? Because of multicast is a 244 and it's a broadcast 255.255.255 entirely broadcast, and 127.0.0.0 it's entirely loopback IP address. It's a loopback IP address. A linked local, that means APIPA IP address. 169.254.0.0/16 linked IP address we can call the APIPA IP address, automatic private IP address. That is the meaning. And Azure wide server, that means this public IP address, especially in Azure platform, they are using Azure public DNS. Azure public DNS. In Azure platform, what we are deploying the all the services. By default, all the services communicate to the Azure public DNS. That Azure public DNS server IP address, this is a one. Anytime, any place, don't block it this IP address. Any situation, don't block it this IP address. If you block it this public IP address in Azure platform, that services it won't work. That services it won't work. Okay.
Only that is a DHCP IP address, right, Kiran?
This is the DHCP, this is the DNS, both the things same. Any more questions? So tomorrow we're going to discuss about in the when is a how when creating the virtual network subnetting under that 5 IP address is the result, and by default these all those things will start from the discussion tomorrow, and like creating the subnets after that, VNet peering, these all those things tomorrow we'll try to discuss understand the that concept tomorrow. But today this is a totally guys, any questions, any doubts, let me know on this on today topic. I hope is clear to everyone.
Yes, Kiran. I'm good.
Okay, great. So thank you everyone. Have a nice day. We'll meet tomorrow and we'll discuss. And even I will upload this recording session. I will provide the access. So thank you everyone. Have a nice day.